Hello, my name is Richard McMurtry, and I am the founder of an organization called Californians for Peace in Israel Palestine. This organization is dedicated to doing grassroots outreach throughout California for the purpose of developing support for a unique path to peace for both Jews and Palestinians in Israel Palestine. This path was developed by hundreds of Jews and Palestinians working for hundreds of hours to develop creative solutions to every deadlock that has prevented peace efforts in the past from being successful. This path is called A Land for All. I'd like to first begin by having you hear directly from May Pundak, who is the Israeli Jewish co-director of A Land for All. Seated with her in the video is Rula Hardal, who is a Palestinian co-director of A Land for All, and Jonathan Zeigen, who is the son of peace activist Vivian Silver, who was killed in the October 7th Hamas massacre.
Maybe I'll try to take a more practical approach to this question, and also maybe share a little bit, just in a few words, a little bit about the vision of A Land for All, because I think it's important to say in this forum with these people and everyone who's joining us, because I think that in a way, and I'm also trying to be authentic to what we've heard from Jonathan and Rula, A Land for All, we don't claim to have all the answers to the problem of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But we do claim to have an answer, a good answer, to an imminent, crucial component that has been missing for many, many years, which is an updated political vision that is committed to values of equality, that is committed to being pragmatic and connected to reality, to what we know works and doesn't work, to learning from other conflicts, and the commitment to the both sense of belonging of all 7 million Israelis and Jews and 7 million Palestinians to this homeland, and the strong sense of attachment to the entire homeland, and the right of the still existing need for a right of self-determination, which is still the majority of Israelis and Palestinians. And number three, to be very pragmatic in coming up with new assumptions and a new narrative that will hopefully take us out of this cycle. And so what A Land for All has created from putting all these ingredients on the table, starting from the point of what we said earlier and what you said so beautifully, John, of the fact that whatever was going on October 6th was not sustainable. For many, many years, we were trapped in this binary of, one state is impossible, two state is impossible. And so we just accepted, and we were all complicit, or I say we were all, but in a way, yes, we were all taking from what Jonathan and Rula said, in a way, we were all complicit in accepting this fake status quo and accepting the fact that this conflict is impossible to solve. And there's no vision to the future. And, and really not prioritizing the need to solve it. And one of the things that have been missing, and I think about also political change, right? Like we are in a moment where political change is needed. One thing that is needed for political change is political vision. And political vision needs to be compelling. It needs to be exciting. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be pragmatic and practical. It needs to be something that can actually work. It needs to learn from mistakes and learn from successes. It needs to be inclusive. It needs to be all those things. And that's what we are offering at A Land for All. And I'll say one word personal and then a few words just about the vision itself, because I believe it's important, which is for me, as a woman, as a mother, as someone who's been an activist for many, many years, I remember myself losing hope. And this is 5 years ago, right? When I came, I was living in the States for a couple of years. I came back to Israel. There were endless cycles of election in Israel, 5 cycles of elections in 3 years. And no political leader was telling me, how the hell am I supposed to raise my kids here without sacrificing them for nothing? And that for me as a young mother was unacceptable. It was unacceptable that that's the best the Jewish people had to offer me, right? Like the Jewish people, we are famous, infamous for having political vision. So how is that the best people can offer me is just more of the same. Component of articulating that vision, that Northern Star that we all know that we can at least push towards, is for me it gave me hope and gave me the possibility to take agency and to believe that I can do something. And if it's okay, I'll just take a couple of minutes very shortly to just share the vision, and maybe we can ask our amazing Eve to share in the chat link to our website where we can read more about the vision itself. But I will say shortly that what A Land for All is offering is, and you can see it here on our banner, A Land for All, 2 states, 1 homeland. It's very simple to summarize it like that. 2 states, 2 independent sovereign states, Israel and Palestine, 67 border, everything we know about 2 states, in a different framework, where the starting point is one of equality, is one that acknowledges the interdependency. Although there is a power dynamic and power structure, there is also interdependency between Israelis and Palestinians. And I think October 7th made that very clear, that until Palestinians are not free and safe, Israeli Jews will never be free and safe, ever. But that goes for climate, and that goes for healthcare, and that goes for security, and it goes for Jerusalem, and everywhere you look, from sewage to economy and integration into the Middle East, the framework has to be one that is based on integration, cooperation, shared interest, shared future, shared homeland, and not one of segregation and separation. It cannot be based on that. It cannot physically be based on that and morally based on that. And so translating that understanding of the reality into a political framework means that yes to 2 states, and also under a framework that we call for shared institutions to take care equally and collectively with shared values and shared interests on our shared future. So again, climate, water, Jerusalem, some issues of healthcare, some issues of economy, we have to take care jointly. And moving towards a reality of freedom of movement, and eventually, gradually, with all the needed security steps on the way, to freedom of residency and differentiation between citizenship and residency, meaning that shortly Palestinians would be able to reside in Israel while they vote in Palestine, and Jews will be able, with no system of oppression, with no system of settlements, but as Jews, to reside in Palestine as permanent residents of Palestine. And for those who think this is insane and outrageous and crazy, we always try to encourage us to use our political imagination and to go back to places like the European Union, with all the problems that it has after 250 years of slaughtering. People are still living together freely with open borders. And that's important to remember. It's important to remember that these things that sound impossible actually overnight change. And I think that the past few days of what we're seeing in Syria, or the Berlin Wall that suddenly fell after everyone predicted it will never fall, and I can give many, many more examples, but I just think that even thinking about Israel and Egypt, that one day were the biggest historic enemies, and 5 years later, and now till a few years ago, Sinai was the most popular vacation spot for Israelis. It pushes us to understand that it can happen here as well, and that we need new creative ideas to achieve that and to allow, and I'll end with this, for political change. Because with no political vision, with no horizon, with no articulation of that Northern Star and that shared vision that both Israelis and Palestinians can relate to and create and belong to, there will not be political change here. Okay, I got carried away. Woo! I actually, I'm trying to be, it's too late for me to be diplomatic. So I'm going to say that I actually have zero trust in the international community. And that's, sorry, John, I have trust in you, but I think, and that's okay, because I think that yes, I would love for there to be sanctions on Israel to end the war, but I don't think that's going to happen. And so I'm trying to think what will happen, okay, or what I have power to do. And within that, what we have, again, I'm talking from our humble position of probably the only Israeli-Palestinian co-led political movement offering an alternative vision to a problem that has no vision. And so what I think that the international community can do is to start talking about the fact that A, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict has to end. This is the end, the beginning of the end. This is the last war. This is the end of the conflict. We have to end it. Number two, it can end. People always say it can't end. It's the most complicated ever. Everywhere else it can end, but here it can't, because it's no. This is a conflict like every other conflict that is meant to end. Number two. Number three, how? There are probably 7,000 versions of how. Here's one. You don't have to think it's perfect. It's not perfect. But here is one that has been created by Israelis and Palestinians for hundreds of hours, hundreds of people, and have the creative solutions to every deadlock that we've been facing for 20 years, saying, oh, you see, it's impossible. So people need to start using new terminology, new language, new faces, new leaders, new ideas to say that this is possible. And this is a tool that people can use. And again, it's not to say that it's perfect, but just to fight back. And the most important thing, and this is really a request, not to give up. Not to give up. We have no luxury of giving up. And I think that everyone sitting around this computer right now knows that this problem of Israel Palestine is hitting everyone at home. So even if you want to give up, you cannot give up, because this is impacting all of us. So that's really, really important. And we are here to help, to be resources around that.